All right, it is finally race time. So this is going to be race one of our round two tonight. We're at Watkins Glen. Of course, we're seeing a ton of Porsches on the grid, as always. No bias here, obviously, but it's the best car on the service. So we do have a BMW and a McLaren joining us tonight. That should make for some interesting fights, especially along the straightaways. Watkins Glen is it's a tricky one to tame. It's fairly easy to get around, right? I mean, the corners are pretty intuitive. We've got our barriers kind of put up, pointing us in the right direction. It's really tough to get that extra little bit of lap time out of it. The bus stop claims a lot of lives every week, every official. It just always seems to happen, whether it's hitting the wall or just carrying a little too much speed on cold tires into that first left-hander. I think with this group of drivers, we're going to see some pretty good lap one racing. I don't expect to see much carnage from this group of guys. As always, love seeing all the CTD liveries. We have close to a full grid tonight, too. I think we have 18 cars. So maybe not too full, but our goal is to always be around 25, maybe a little bit higher. The more people we graduate, the more full our grids will be. We do have a split in our classes as well. Our graduates are racing for a totally different championship than our amateur drivers are. I think we only have a couple pros, couple graduates on the grid tonight, so it'll be interesting to see how those guys shake up. We definitely have some very fast AM drivers in our races tonight, so we'll see if they can hold on to it. Alright, coming through the last couple turns here, we'll see the pace car drop off. A little bit of tire weaving, getting those tire temps right up there. Pace car is off, and our pole sitter has taken the green flag. Let's go. Josh with a great start coming into turn one. Looks like 3, 4 wide in some places. Pretty clean so far. And look at that, we have a clean turn one. Love to see it. Coming in at the bus stop. Doesn't look like we have any battles for position there. Everybody's kind of falling in line, settling in. Cold tires have definitely been very tricky to handle, especially with these hot temps. Our track temps are close to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Mixing that with cold tires and a lot of aggression, trying to make up any positions or hold on to one, sometimes that can get a little messy. Michael pulling out for a move, and he tucks back in. Everyone's still very close together. We're not seeing any cars starting to string out. Maybe a little bit towards our mid-pack. Joseph going for a move. Gets to the inside, and it looks like he's pulled that one off. Goes a little bit defensive. Lewis is right on his bumper. Is he going to make that move into turn 1? Tucks back in. Might be playing the long game on this one. This is a long straightaway leading up to the bus stop, so a really good exit here with some draft. He might get back around him without much trouble. A little side-by-side action behind. Oh, and I think we had a little bit of a wall bang there from Brian. Everybody keeping it nice and tidy so far. Ah, love seeing those cars jumping over the curb. That's awesome. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle from Brian. He holds on to it. It cost him a couple positions there, but he's looking pretty strong in that McLaren. I think he's got the pace to fight back for those, definitely. Catching up with our battle for 7th here. Ooh, Joseph goes a little bit wide. That brings Lewis right back into it. He's going to keep the aggression on him. Still such a tight pack. It looks like we've got just about 3 groups. We have our lead pack, a middle pack, and then almost like a middle and a half pack here. Lewis is really putting the pressure on him. Joseph just a little wiggle on the exit there. Does he have the run to get into T1? He's on the inside, door to door. These guys almost go too wide through T1. That's a really tough one to pull off. Joseph has just a little bit of a wiggle on exit there, and I think he's going to have to concede that spot. Ooh, and a new fastest lap, 54.8 from Carter Price in P2 at the moment. Joseph under pressure from James. James up the inside here. Man, these Porsche guys, they're really bullying our BMW driver. Up the inside. Ah, that was close. Almost had some bumpers flying off there. Glad those guys can keep it clean. Brian up the inside of James in the McLaren. These guys are side to side, or door to door, I should say. James with a little bit better the exit there. Joseph is just really wrestling that BMW. Ooh, we have a car going into the pits. I believe that's Angelo. I wonder what's going on there. Maybe out of fuel or creeping up on an incident limit possibly. Still have a very tight battle for 8th place here. We have Joseph, James, and Brian duking it out. That McLaren, that has a lot of straight line speed. He pulls out. He's going to be trying to look for that move on the inside on James. And it looks like he's going to get it. Oh, he almost got it done. Just a little bit of that tap on the wall. And we have a little bit of a collection or an incident between those guys. Looks like James is faring okay. I don't see a ton of damage on that car, but that's going to be a tricky one to survive for the next 13 minutes if he does. Right behind him, we have Eric in the mullet. Eric getting nice and familiar with this Watkins. I know he's getting ready to take on the 6 hours of Watkins Glen this weekend, so it's probably a nice little warm-up leading up to that. And as these guys start to settle in, let's check in with our leaders. We have about a half of a second gap between these guys. Josh started on pole. Looks like very consistent times, especially without that draft. Running 54.9s. Carter still holds onto the fastest lap with a 54.8, just slightly faster. Nice and bumpy through there. We all know the Porsche just loves to drive over curves, right? Carter is also going to be the teammate to Eric for this weekend's 6 hours of Watkins Glen. I'm sure this is a nice little warm-up for him too. It's got to be a big confidence boost driving around in P2, putting the pressure on P1. I know he's been working very hard on his pace over the last week, and it's definitely showing for both this GT4 drive and in his GT3 preparation. Checking in with our middle pack here. Aquaman leading our next 4 cars here. Howard a little bit wide, just a little bit of a touch on that outer wall. These guys are looking very calm, cool, and collected. Not seeing a lot of wiggling from their cars. Very stable, very smooth. This group is definitely looking like they're playing the long game here. Oh, Howard up the inside as soon as I say that. Oh, we have contact. A little bit of a spin. That's going to be some tough damage to continue with on Aquaman's came in there. I spoke too soon. Commentator's curse strikes again. And that actually brings Lewis back into the equation. Right on the back bumper of Michael's Porsche. This is a tight little group here. These guys are only separated by about a second between the 4 of them. I think on this next lap we're going to see the draft really come into play. Might be a little bit of fighting for position, especially coming into the bus stop. Aquaman into the pits to grab those repairs. A little bit wide from Lewis there. I know that's going to be a track limits violation. You'll have to keep an eye on that one. Ooh, and very, very close. Bumper to bumper between Alex and Howard here. Michael's in the equation as well. just about 3 wide on the entry. These guys are out of their minds. Michael loses out to a little bit. Michael loses out to that position to Lewis. Lewis is on quite the drive. He's trying to push through everybody on track. His pace has definitely been fast. While these guys settle in, we'll check back in with our leaders. It looked like there for a moment Carter did take the lead from Josh, and Josh got it right back. So I know these guys are fighting very hard for that P1. Both a little wide on exit there. These guys are close coming in the bus stop. It's very hard to get a run on somebody on the exit here, especially in these GT4 cars. You have to get the car lined up just right for this following right-hand sweeper. So it's definitely very tricky to make a move on somebody leaving the bus stop. These guys are still very close though. Ooh, and Carter just with a little bit of a wall tap there on exit. Looks like the car is still drivable, not too much damage. I'm sure Josh will be happy to get a little bit of breathing room after that one. We do have a new fastest lap as well from Carter with a 54.7. These two guys out up front are just flying. Ooh, and another wall tap. He's going to have to be pretty careful with going too far out on exit there. He's going to start collecting a decent amount of damage, and that's really going to start affecting his straight line speeds. Wide again from both of these guys. They will have to be careful with those track limits. Race Control has put a 17 incident limit before a drive-through penalty, so they'll have to be pretty careful with that one. Carter's definitely pushing. He wants that P1 spot. Still very close between these guys. I don't think there's much more than a tenth separating them as far as lap time goes. These guys are just not making any mistakes. Both running very similar lines. As a matter of fact, their last 2 laps were separated by less than 2/100ths of a second. And this go around just about a 10th separating these two as far as lap time goes. A little bit cleaner on the off tracks there. And it looks like we do have a battle for P3 as well. Just about 3/10 separating these guys. Howard and Alex. Howard taking a little bit of a defensive line coming up to the bus stop. Alex pulling out just slightly, just as a reminder to Howard, hey, I'm here, and I'm looking for that spot. These guys will have to be careful, too. If they battle too much, there's still enough time left in this race for Lewis to really pounce on those positions. Michael dropping back just ever so slightly. Howard a little bit wide at the apex. Can Alex capitalize on this? Just a little too far back on this one. And it looks like our leaders are crossing the line just about now. This will be our white flag. 1 lap to go. Howard going defensive. Alex has a nice run. These guys are going door to door into T1. Looks like Alex is going to have quite the run there and just got a little checked up on apex. Defense from Howard once again, holding on to that spot. All of these guys are looking really tidy though too. We're not seeing really any mistakes from this group at all. Alex taking a little bit wider of a line, trying to get that run set up on exit. Lewis a little bit wide there, recovers nicely. And we do have our leaders coming across the line. Looks like Josh hung on to that one. And that is another win in the AM category for Josh, followed by Carter in P2. Catching back up with our mid-pack here. Howard rounding the last corner. It looks like oh, and just a bit of a wall bang there. Can he hold on to it across the line? That is a close one, but Howard pulls it off. That's followed by Alex, Lewis, Michael, the Mullet, followed by Joseph, James, Eric Faust, Brian Zimmerman, right behind with Chris Kohler, Matthew Farron, and Douglas Mellon. Angelo Bovino getting ready to come across the last corner. It looks like he's got quite a bit of front end damage there. That's a tough one. Angelo is a lap down as well, so we have the scientist coming in at P15. That's going to wrap us up for... Oh, that's a big incident. The team manager is not going to be happy to be replacing that one. That's going to wrap us up for race 1. And we'll catch you guys for race 2 here in just a moment. Alright, we are finally back for race 2. We had a little bit of technical difficulties getting our second session, our second race going, but the time has come. Little bit of a change up for our qualifying positions with Carter taking the top spot. So we'll have Carter followed by Josh and then Lewis with the P3 in qualifying. So he definitely struggled a little bit in qualifying for race 1, but he seems to have found that consistency in that pace, and now that puts him in the second row for race 2. He definitely has lots of pace. Very looking forward to seeing how our two front grids clash maybe a little bit, or find a little bit of an order as our lap 1 goes on. These guys love to test their flashers on our out lap or our pace lap. Just want to make sure they work. No electrical gremlins. We don't want to have any car failures in our 20-minute sprints. Very close in qualifying as well. Our top 3 are separated by less than, or a little bit more than 2/10. I take that back. All of our times, all of our qualifying times down the grid are very close. Now that these guys are warmed up after race 1, definitely expecting a lot more battling. Here come race 2. I think everybody's ready to turn that aggression up just a little bit. Looks like it's cooled down a little bit for race 2 as well. A little bit of cloud coverage. These guys should find a little bit more grip in their lap times. I expect to see a little bit faster average race pace. I did overhear leading up to race 2. Carter is a little bit nervous starting this spot in P1. He was talking about Josh just being relentless with his pace in race 1. I think we're going to see a lot of battling from these two especially. Alright, coming around the last corner, the pace car dives in. And Carter is off. Very nice launch into T1. Looks like everybody's finding their spot, finding some space into T1. Lewis up the inside of Josh, and he concedes that spot. He's going to fall back, play the long game, be pretty patient. It looks like we did have a clean T1, no incidents to be seen. A little bit of light flashing from Howard, just letting him know, hey, I'm coming for you. I want that P5 spot. The mullet a little bit wide through our right-hand sweeper coming into the boot. He goes defensive. Howard around the outside. Can he make it stick? Still on the outside. This is a really tough corner to be on the outside and make the pass work. Carries a lot of speed and just doesn't quite have the speed. Or does he? These guys are side to side. The mullet with the inside line. Catches a little bit of curb, goes wide, and Howard's through. It looks like the mullet's going to lose a couple positions there. That was a big moment. Joseph in the BMW getting a little sideways, especially on those cold tires, but he tucks right back in behind the mullet. Ooh, and lots of jumping, and it looks like Chris Kohler caught the wall just a little aggressively and winds up in pit lane. Brian making a move up the inside into T1. Him and Michael are just about door to door, and Brian actually falls back just a little bit. Ooh, we have quite the battle coming into the bus stop here. These guys are all over the road. Everybody's looking for a little bit of space. Ooh, and we have a death. Looks like Joseph in our BMW got just a little loose on the exit of that first left apex, and unfortunately I think he made contact with the wall there. Alex going a little wide on exit there. That's going to bring Brian into the equation. He closes that gap up a little bit. Michael going defensive with Angelo right behind. And we have the scientist right behind him. Mullet getting past left and right. I wonder if he's struggling with maybe some tires, or he's got a mechanical issue going on there, but he is, looks like he's coming into pit lane very slowly. Howard leading this pack of drivers as they come up through the S's. There's a decent amount of separation between these guys, so draft isn't going to play too much of a role here. James looking nice and tidy through the bus stop. I know he's looking for a good result. He's putting the pressure on Howard. He wants him to know, hey buddy, I'm coming for that spot. Tries to make it stick around the outside. Not a lot of grip on the outside line through that corner though. Lots of marble build up there and not a lot of camber to really put the car into. Little bit of bumper touch in there. Looks like everybody kept it nice and collected though. It does look like James has some front bumper damage. Slightly caved in there. I wonder if that's going to hurt his top speed on this next couple laps. And we have a new fastest lap from Aquaman with a 54.4. Nice little line of cars here. Alex filling the mirrors of James's car. Alex has a pretty decent run here. I wonder if he can get past coming into the bus stop on this straight. Needs to be nice and patient and pull out right at the last second. And just not quite enough there. A little too far back to make anything happen. Even with that front bumper damage, it definitely seems like James still has that top speed. He's not falling behind to Howard. Ooh, and goes up the inside. A little bit of a touch there. Oh, and that sends Howard really wide into the wall. I wonder if he can collect from that. Howard keeps it on the track. I don't think he's going to be very happy about that one. These guys are packed together now. And Howard with the late move up the inside. Can he make it stick? Looks like two just couldn't go into one on that move. Howard unfortunately gets spun. Bryant's still trying to get it back on track there. Holds his brakes and waits for everybody to pass, and he gets going again. We have Douglas in effectively P10. Catching up with our battle for P7. We have Michael and Angelo. These two are pretty close in pace. There's only a couple tenths difference between their lap times. Michael being nice and patient. Looks like these two have fallen back just a little bit from James and Alex in P5 and P6. Alex pulling out. Right at the inside here. James giving him plenty of space at the apex. Alright, who's going to come out on top here? We are... these two guys are right next to each other. Maybe a little bit of side draft will come into play. They're pretty separated right now. Alex with the inside coming into the bus stop, and it looks like James is going to concede to that position, at least for now. And catching up with our leaders, it looks like we do have a new P1. Josh got around Carter. And we have Luis Sampaio in P3 getting past Aquaman as well. These guys are really duking it out. Josh has pulled away ever so slightly. He has about a 1 second gap to P2. Lewis putting all kinds of pressure on Carter, making him go defensive. If these guys continue to fight, they need to be careful. Aquaman's going to get involved, and he will capitalize on that. And Luis Sampaio with a new PB of a 54.2. That gap to P1 is starting to close slightly as well. Nobody making any big mistakes. Carter has closed that gap even further. He's going to put that pressure back on. He wants that P1 back. Looks like we have Joseph in this BMW in the pit lane, unfortunately. That gap between P1 and P2 down to less than 2/10. Carter up the inside. P1 gives him plenty of space at the apex and holds on to that lead. Looks like Aquaman and P4 just going a little bit wide on exit there. Ooh, and that brings Lewis back into the equation. Falls back a little bit. Still holds on to the draft, and these guys are going to continue fighting for our last 6 minutes of this race. A little wide from Carter there. He's going to have somewhat dirty tires coming into this uphill. Looks like he can manage it pretty well though, not looking too slidey. Definitely had a little bit of a bad run. Goes defensive very early, and this brings Lewis and Aquaman right back into the equation. Ooh, and big contact with the wall for Lewis. Aquaman gets past him after that. That checked him up quite a bit. Doesn't look like his car is too damaged. We do have a separation between some of these guys now. I know Lewis is going to be pushing. He wants that position back as well, but we do have quite the fight for P5. We have 4 cars in this battle. Alex going a little bit defensive. Stays in front through the bus stop. It does look like James is starting to struggle with a little bit of that front end damage. I think he's losing quite a bit of top speed. James up the inside. A little bit of contact there, not too bad though. Everybody kept it on the track. That contact did cost him a little bit of time, and now Michael's ready to pounce. Michael up the inside. Lots of space given, but it looks like Angela's gonna take the exit away there. And another contact with the wall for James. That car is going to need a lot of band-aids by the end of this race. No major movement in this group. Everybody's keeping it nice and tidy through the bus stop. Michael up the inside on the exit. Can he make it stick? Angela going a little wide here. Angela's holding on to it for now. As this race winds down though, I know Michael's pushing. He wants every last bit of tenth, every last foot on the track he can find. Gets a little checked up coming up the hill. Josh King with a PB at a 54.5 without a draft. He's trying to run away with this race out in the front. As our timer counts down and our leaders crossing the line, this is going to be white lap. 1 to go. So we have two little battles going on here, both separated by roughly a half of a second. Angela going just a little bit wide at the apex. And that lets Michael really close that gap. He's got the draft coming through the S's. I think he's going to be a little too far back to try to make anything stick coming into this corner. Angelo goes defensive. Michael with a really strong exit and just barely misses going up the inside there. Michael using every last inch of track trying to find just that extra bit of speed. And our battle for P5 continues to heat up. James up the inside, Alex taking the outside line. Normally that outside line's faster, but he concedes on this run. James going a little bit wide there. Looks like Alex is going to force the issue. Will we have a drag race to the finish here? James with a nice strong exit. And that one's going to go to James, followed by Angelo beating Michael out just barely. We have Douglas coming through the last corner in P9, followed by Brian in P10. The Mullet in P11. We have Joseph and his BMW coming across the line in P13 after definitely some heartbreak, a couple incidents there. And finally we'll have Howard Ding rounding out our finish. And that's going to be a wrap for our race 2. Congrats to Josh for taking away that P1 spot. That is 2 wins for this week, and I believe that makes 4 so far for the season. He's on a bit of a perfect run, so congrats to him. We'll see everybody next week. We are headed to Mosport. That's going to be definitely a very fun track. The Porsche is very strong, very fast there. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys later.